From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
It's a marshmallow whirl in the winter. When the snow comes to cover.
Wake up! Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, sounds like Florida State's got both their coordinators ready to rock and roll. A lot of you are ready to slam the Kool-Aid. Some of you want to tap the brakes. We're going to do a little bit of both on today's show. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Promo code WarchantBogo, B-O-G-O, that is, BOGO, Warchant, B-O-G-O. Buy one, get one free. And turns out, Corey, we did get one coordinator for free.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. I don't think either one of those guys are going to be free.
Yeah, that's right. But y'all can get some free Vitamin Energy when you go to vitaminenergy.com. Use that promo code WarchantBogo. Do it. Come on, the holiday season. Everyone needs a little extra pep in their step. It's colder. The sun's not even up for 9 hours in the day. It's ridiculous. Figure it out, planet Earth, Axis. I don't know. Can we do something? There's got to be some way to engineer more sunlight, but that's not my department. Y'all can help yourselves out going to vitaminenergy.com. You can help yourself out as a Florida State fan by being in the know by going to warchant.com.
Yeah.
No promo code. $1 for a week, 50% off an annual membership. Still going strong. Already a member? Create a burner email account. Sign up for another one. Gift that to somebody. And so they stop using your account. They can go post on the forums and say all the weird, wacky stuff they feel like. Saying our own Corey Clark dabbling in the warchant.com forum earlier yesterday. Yep. He's got plenty to say. He does it right out here on this program, Wake Up Warchant. What's up, Corey Clark?
What's up, Aslan? How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I read your post, your salvo, rallying the troops, circling the wagons. Noles are back.
So I have a column that should be up on the site. I think we're waiting until the DC hire is official, but it's official. They're unless something crazy happens, they are getting. And now his name just escaped me because I'm old. Tony Adams. Nebraska, right?
Tony White.
Tony White. Golly, who is Tony Adams? Oh, boy, I hope I didn't put that in the column. Ira. Basically, the gist of my column is like, come on, man, don't tell me. I know they're getting paid. Don't tell me that Florida State doesn't matter. You went and got that DC at Nebraska, a Big Ten school, one of the Power 2, and one of the best defenses in the country, folks. Like, they're top 15 in the country in total defense. I think they maybe 14th in rushing defense, and they were third in rushing touchdowns allowed in the country. Out of 133 teams, they gave up 6 rushing touchdowns all season. Let's say, what did I say? Nebraska's 14th in the country in rushing defense?
Correct, maybe? You're right. 105.8 yards per game they allowed.
Florida State was 107, Aslan. Oof. I feel like you made a jump. I feel like you did pretty well with this hire. Like, I get Malzahn, there's some trepidation, I guess, because of the
Bloom's off the rose with him. Like, you know everything about him.
Yeah, I think it's that, but I think that's to say the Bloom is off the rose means to sound like his offenses have just wilted on the vine. Like, his offenses have still been good. It's just he's not he's 59. He's not 39.
Yeah, but there's hundreds and there's thousands of fans at Auburn that were like good riddance. There's hundreds of
as a head
fans
coach, right? As a head coach.
Yes, but,
that's what he's not coming here to be a head coach. I'm not sitting here saying he would have been the right hire to replace Mike Norvell.
I'm not down in the hire. I'm just saying, compared to Tony White's like a blank slate. Gus Malzahn, like, you see some of the warts on him. But he's also got he's got nice juicy pecs and some pipes for arms. So
that's what comes with it, though, right? Like, we've seen so much, so we've seen Malzahn have bad games and bad years because he's a 60-year-old or 59-year-old college football coach. That happens.
Right.
Tony White gets the benefit of not doing this for that long. So he hasn't been in the SEC. He wasn't in the SEC for a decade, like Gus Malzahn was. Or he might have a few bad years under his resume. The point being, Malzahn. People look at Malzahn and think maybe they're not wowed by it just because he's been in our lives for so long. He's not an up-and-comer like a Brennan Marion.
Yes.
But golly, man, I mean, I think you just back to the overall point, you just got a Big 12 head coach. to be your offensive coordinator, and you just got a Nebraska DC to be your defensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's 2024, man. It's not 1994 in Nebraska. But yeah, no, he's got a really good defense.
It's a Big Ten. It's a Big Ten school, though, right? It's a Big Ten. You're getting it from a Power 2 conference.
Yeah.
That's remarkable considering who your last DC hire was and where he was from. So the point of the column is like, yeah, man. Obviously, they're coming here because I'm sure they're not volunteering. They're probably getting paid some money for it. But you wouldn't come to Florida State if you didn't think it would help your career. You just wouldn't. I think there's a ceiling in Nebraska. I think Malzahn thinks if he turns this thing around at a place like Florida State, because I think both of those guys think, get me to that school with those resources and that recruiting ability, and let's see what I can do. Like Malzahn's probably thinking, I had the 5th rushing offense in the country at UCF. What am I going to do at Florida State where I have more access to funds, history, tradition? You know what I mean?
I know, but we did this with like Walt Bell. We did this with Adam Fuller. We just, I mean, I don't want to be the wet blanket, but I'm going to be the wet blanket.
I mean, good grief, I guess. Wake up, wet blanket.
Anybody would say, like, you're at Alabama killing DeBoer. Oh, look what he did at Washington. Now he's at Alabama. Now he's got our apparatus. Now he's got our foundation. Sky's the limit. Hasn't been the limit. So, listen, I like the Tony White hire, though. Like, I'm not trying to come on here, not wet blanket that. The Gus thing, we'll see. I don't know what the end game is. I also need to see the financials on a lot of these. When I see 3-year deal, and I'm bracing for, I don't know, man, like these guys are going to be getting like $8 million over 3 years, you know?
What do you care? It's not your money.
But why don't we give Jimbo this money?
Good grief.
Kidding.
We're about to end the show. Going back to Malzahn, you bring up Fuller or you bring up Kalen DeBoer. Look, man, this isn't a guy that had 1 year at Auburn. And he's parlayed it.
2 years at Syracuse.
2 good years, man. Come on. No, I'm talking about Malzahn.
Oh, we've already talked about Gus.
But I know. But again, I want to go back to that because you said we talked about Fuller, we talked about this when they get their resources or Kalen DeBoer. Gus Malzahn won 9 games 2 years in a row at UCF and again had like the number 2 rushing offense in the country. This wasn't ancient history. It was a couple years ago. And what he did at Auburn and the people he recruited, I would think, I don't know what people would want that's more of a guarantee. And I'm not saying he's a guarantee because there ain't one. But this guy, you are throwing money at a problem, a huge problem, but you are throwing money and giving money to someone that has had, he's averaged like 450 yards a game in his 19 years. He's had to, I don't know, I think FSU tweeted out a stat. He's rushed for over 3,000 yards in a season 7 times. He's passed for over 3,000 yards in a season 7 times. He's had over 5,000 yards total offense in seasons numerous times. Not at Louisiana Lafayette or Marshall or UNLV. In the flippin' SEC West. So, again, it's not a guarantee. We'll see. I know his name isn't shiny and new. But, man, some of these old guys can still really coach. And I promise you he'll be better than Alex Atkins, Mike Norvell were in 2024. And then going on to Tony White, right? Come on, Clark. Get it together. Man, that's a guy that was at Syracuse for 2 years.
You put 33 and 38 on him. Put 33 and 38 on him.
Well, the 33 in 2021, I don't feel like, I don't know what they did. I think Jordan completed
they had really good statistical defense at Syracuse. They were top 3 in the ACC both years he was there. Yeah.
And I think the one in 2021 was that first one of the season when I dumped champagne on myself.
It was.
And I feel like Jordan completed like 23 passes for 130 yards or something. But obviously he had that run down the sideline to get him into field goal range. But, yeah, they had good statistical defenses at Syracuse. And, again, look at those defenses before he got there. He did a remarkable turnaround at Syracuse from 2020 to 2021. But, yeah, man, he's got a resume you'd want. He's coached in the ACC. He coached at Nebraska, and they were good. They were good. I watched the thing that Jeff Cameron did with the
Sean Callahan from
Sean
Husker
Callahan,
Illustrated.
Yeah. And he was talking about how Nebraska lost the game the other night to Iowa. They gave up 5 first downs and lost the game. Iowa didn't convert a third down. Nebraska lost the game. Can you imagine a Florida State defense holding a bowl team? And Iowa wasn't horrible on offense this year. This wasn't a typical Iowa offense. To 5 first downs? And look what they did to Colorado. Yeah. Look what they did to Ohio State. Like those have obviously many weapons at those two schools. And Nebraska kind of dominated both of those great offenses and then obviously dominated Iowa's offense. Like, I like that upside, man. And again, it just goes back to, I don't know how many schools in the country. How many schools in the country coming off 2-10, Aslan, go and get a Big Ten DC from a very good defense and then go get a Big 12 head coach to run their coordinators? That's not that ain't normal. It just isn't. I mean, I know they're giving them money.
Well, Florida State going 2-10 is not normal either. So that's very.
But I think, don't you think? I mean, I just don't. I mean, Nebraska's paying him plenty.
Yeah, no, I don't think Nebraska want him to leave. I don't think.
Yeah, but that's why I think he sees the upside of coming to Florida State.
I do wonder. I don't know if I can ask him that whenever we do get him, but he was in the mix for the Southern Cal defensive coordinator job last year, and they went with Danton Lynn. So not sure what the deciding factor in that was. Maybe I don't know if he took his name out or anything like that.
I think he was also, according to Callahan, he was sort of in the mix to be the UCLA head coach last year.
Oh yeah,
or the Syracuse head coach.
Yeah.
So again, you're talking about. Look, no offense to my man Adam Fuller. Enjoyed talking to him. He wasn't in the mix to be the UCLA head coach. Alex Atkins was not in the mix to be the UCF head coach. You know what I mean? Like, right. You got your upgrades. Whether you think Malzahn is the best thing to happen to Florida State or not,
I'm not arguing that at all.
It's an enormous upgrade, and I think Florida State fans, when you look at this and take a step back, holy moly, man! What else did you want? You got proven commodities, guys that have been doing it for years. Malzahn for 20. White has been doing it in the Big Ten at almost the highest level imaginable for these last 2 years, and did well at Syracuse now. I mean, I know we remember that 38-3 beatdown in the Carrier Dome in 22. That was a very good offense he faced, and you're not going to stop everyone when you're at Syracuse. But I think overall, man, that these are about as good as you could hope. Now, it doesn't mean they're guaranteed. There's a coach out there right now that Florida State passed over that will be a very good head coach somewhere someday. That's just the nature of the sport. But it was obvious. They didn't have time to wait around for a group of 5 coach to prove that he could do it. Right? They couldn't. You didn't have that option. You have to get this right immediately. I think you went and got 2 very, very qualified coordinators, which is exactly what you had to do.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com, the website. Come on out tonight, play some trivia. Maybe we can have like some sort of theme trivia where all the answers involve guys named Tony or Gus.
There you go.
Something like that, possibly. Going down at 7 o'clock. Come on out, have some fun, have some cold beverages, enjoy tacos, soft shell, hard shell, beef or chicken, delicious options beyond that as well. Billiards, darts, televisions. I don't know. There's any football on? No, right? We're in the wilderness right now for a few days.
Hey, buddy, it's the selection show.
Oh,
don't forget about the selection show now.
Hey, did you and I do a live one last year when they? No, we were. Yeah. We did the one before. We did the one before the championship game, I think.
Well, that was dumb.
We obviously didn't do the one. We should do a rewatchables. We should go watch ourselves talking about the live show that we did. I think you and I were doing live shows.
Probably. Yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that again. I'm like, they're in. If they win, they're in. Who knew?
Oh, man. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, though, not going to let you down ever. cptallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. We're back. Pretty brief show coming up at you here today, everybody. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. I think tomorrow, Corey, we'll go ahead and do the drawing for the portable power station from our friends at Cummins. I'll get all the names rounded up. It's going to be exciting. Almost as exciting as Florida State football this coming season with all the changes. The portal is where I'm at, Corey. I don't want to – they got the right pieces in place leading each segment, I think.
Yeah.
I think Gus – again, I don't think it's imperative that you go get an elite quarterback. I think any quarterback with something plus, like check plus athleticism, namely, I don't think he needs somebody with a incredibly accurate arm or an incredibly strong arm. I think he needs somebody that's athletic. There's lots of those quarterbacks out there. And if they want to put up big stats and do it at a really cool place, it's tough to beat doing it for Gus Malzahn at Florida State. So, yeah, I mean, I think offense is going to get fixed. I think defense, again, where Nebraska was 2 years ago and where they are now. I mean, year one, I mean, they jumped from, I think, outside the, maybe just inside the top 100 in defense to inside the top 20 in year one. So that's a guy that clearly, my concern would kind of be, was blowing this whole thing up, having to replace both coordinators. Now you might need to get new pieces that obviously you're going to have to get new pieces for the portal, but the guys that you do have on your roster, maybe they might not fit into these systems. Yeah. But Gus is, Mike's off his tree, so that's probably not going to be a problem. And then what Tony White's done at Syracuse in quick work and order and what he did at Nebraska, you're like, he'll probably figure out a way to get the best out of these guys and fit them into his system. I know he's more of like a 3-3-5 guy. I only watched the UCLA game, the quick highlights of that one. That was the most points UCLA had scored in the month of November, but there was a pick six involved, so it was about.
Well, and they gave up, like, it's not all sunshine. They gave up 56 to Indiana too. I don't know how that game flowed. Yeah. If it was a lot of short fields, or if the offense was so bad it didn't matter. So they had some down times. They had some bad games too. But overall, through the arc of the season, that was by far the strength of the team. And what also should give you a little, hope is not the word I'm looking for, but I'm going to use it, is that Matt Rule isn't really a defensive guy. Like, he is and he isn't, right? Like, he was like an offensive assistant for a long time. So I think he's more along the lines of the offense. I don't think he really dips his hands into the defense as much. I could be wrong. I shouldn't say that.
No,
I do think he dips.
Yeah, I mean, the second act of his life in coaching has been on the offensive side. The first 5 years or so, he was on the defensive side.
But shouldn't that fill you with a little like, okay, this isn't a guy that was just running Matt Rule's defense.
Yeah, no.
This is a guy that was his defense, and they are very, very good. They just are. I don't know how else to say it. Now, they are playing Big Ten offenses. Colorado, Ohio State notwithstanding, you don't face a ton of great skill players in the Big Ten necessarily. But man, they did a really good job the last two seasons. Man, that was by far the strength of their team. They couldn't win because their offense couldn't score. Hey, real quick on Malzahn, just because I found that stat.
Oh, here we go.
So 16 seasons out of 19 that they've had over 5,000 yards of offense. So if you do that math in your head, folks, 5,000 yards of offense comes out to in 12 games. What is that? A little over 400, 420. Nothing special. Getting to 5,000 yards in a season isn't anything special. It ain't 270. Like, again, the baseline has been raised.
Did you have fears, though, that they were not going to be able to get a hire that was going to make this offense
I did.
Better?
I thought there was a chance, and again, I only use his name because he came. I'll use the Tulane guy's name. Craddock. So 2 years ago, that offense averaged like 25 points a game. He's had two good offenses in his life. Now, the one this year is good. He's got a really good quarterback, it looks like, a young quarterback. But he's not had 19 years of success. He's had two. So there is no guarantee that at this level he can recruit the type of people he needs to recruit to beat Southern defensive linemen and move them out of the way and get skill players that want to play for him. I do think Malzahn will, and this was the final stat I was going to use on Malzahn. In 19 years, he's had 17 1,000-yard rushers. In 19 years. Florida State doesn't really produce. What's it been, Cam Akers and Devontae Freeman in the last 15 years? So this guy, that's all he does. He finds a good running back, and he runs them.
Yes.
That's good to know that that's coming. Baseline is you are going to have a running back, probably, maybe not year one, but by year two, that is going to be an 1,000-yard rusher, all-conference type of running back, and he's going to have a good offensive line in front of him, just because that's what Malzahn has always done. And I don't know why he'd stop now, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would.
But anyway, going back to Tony White.
Yeah, but so I would guess, though, I think Cam Davis probably fits the bill for what he wants from a running back. So I wonder what that means for Mekhi Danzy, because, he finds a guy and then he just feeds him, and I'm all about that. I'm all about that life. I don't like these long rotation benches or whatnot. But yeah, so
I would at least have two, like the Benson and Ward from a couple years ago. That was a fine rotation.
Yeah.
But Trey needs to get the majority of the Trey, not Trayshawn, needed to get the majority of the reps. And, that's how I think it will be with Malzahn. He'll have some change-up backs, which is why Danzy could be that guy. Or it could be somebody in the portal. Look, Cam Davis, freshman, who knows what he's going to be. But there might be somebody in the portal that's better than him. And you might go get him, and you might run him into the ground next year.
Sign up, kid. Come on. Don't be scared.
Yeah.
But yeah, just looking at it, I truthfully didn't get as much time as I would have liked to have jumped in and looked at everything when it comes to Tony White. But yeah, I mean, they only allowed over 30 points in conference play twice this past season. Once it had to go to overtime. That was against Illinois. And then obviously what Sigs did to them in Bloomington, but didn't watch the film on that. But yeah, I think when people hear 3-3-5, they think very specific body types. But so much of what I saw in the UCLA game, Corey, there was two interior linemen, hands in the grass, and then pretty much two guys standing up, and both of them are screaming off the edge as fast as they possibly can. So I mean, it is 3-3-5, however you want to call it, but it seemed mostly they had four guys right on the ball. So not a lot of exotic looks, but the one blitz, they did do one good look where they had six guys showing, and then they only rushed four. And that tripped up the UCLA quarterback and I think got them off the field. So I don't know how much, exotic looks he tries to give, but people that might hear 3-3-5, I'm that's not big boy football. It's well, hey man, he's in the Big Ten. They are playing big boy football.
Yeah, they're playing the biggest of big boy football.
Yeah. And that seemed to have worked out just fine. Because again, as you said, Corey, 14th in the country in rushing defense, 20th in scoring defense. And he did this at Syracuse, too. And it's just weird because I remember always hearing about how good Syracuse's defense was. They were sneaky good, and then we would play them those 2 years. And I was well, that wasn't too sneaky good. But maybe Mike's just got his number, kind of the way he had Marcus Freeman's number up until this year.
It's funny. I'd like to go back and listen or read the transcripts from those 2 years that Florida State played Syracuse and what Norvell – because I feel like Norvell talked a lot about the Syracuse defense. And the guy coaching them, and it's a unique look, but it's really hard. They're really well coached. I'd like to go back and read those quotes because I think I do remember him talking about, like you just said, we heard a lot about how different and how good their defense was. Obviously, they didn't do a good job at all in 2022, but I feel like I'm going to look it up now. I feel like in 2021, Florida State just kind of got lucky, not lucky to win the game, but they didn't put up a ton of yards. Let's see right here. They ran for 247.
That's what
How about? Well, a lot of that was the quarterback probably, but they had 378 yards, 22 first downs. Jordan completed.
It was beautiful.
131. He completed 22 passes for 131 yards.
That's right.
That's crazy. Good for him. But ran for 113.
I think he caught a touchdown too. Didn't they run Philly special? That was 22. They ran Philly special.
That was 2022. So, okay, I want to go back there. So, yes, you hear that they ran for 230 yards against Syracuse, against your new defensive coordinator. You're like, I don't know. Jordan Travis ran for 113 of those yards. That's when you have a quarterback like Jordan Travis who used to run, that's a pretty tough thing to stop. Also, how about my man Trayshawn Ward had a 65-yarder?
Yeah.
All right, good for him. And Corbin had 65 yards too. So yeah, man, I'm excited about that. Legit, I think you could tell in my voice, and I'm not we got to rally the troops. We don't want them to lose interest in Florida State football. I am genuinely excited about these hires. I don't think this is going to be I don't think they're going to be able to turn it into a national championship roster overnight. But I trust that there are adults in the room getting this program the type of talent it needs to compete and win games at a much higher clip than this nonsense we just saw. I don't think it's hard to imagine a combination of these two coordinators producing a product that would go 2-10. Famous last words, I know, but it just feels like that doesn't seem possible. It could. I mean, again, I'm not predicting worlds of success. I'm not predicting a playoff run, but I am predicting. And my minimum baseline expectation is respectability. Be respectable. Like Florida. Florida. Florida fans are excited as they could be about their 7-5 season.
What about Indiana? What about Arizona State? What about the team down in Coral Gables, which they might not make the playoff?
Well, we are talking about a program that just won 13 games. It's not like we've been in the desert searching for water for a decade.
I know, but I'm talking about major bounce back, because that's what I do wonder. I know a lot of people are 7 wins, 8 wins, and then we're on a rocket ship to the moon for 26. And I just don't think. Again, I don't think success is this linear thing. I don't think Kenny's gonna go from 10 wins to 13 wins next year automatically. I don't think Cignetti's gonna run the table next year. It's just to all this sort of wild fluctuations that we see happening now in the sport, where we think Florida State and Michigan are kind of the norms, if you will. Florida State a little bit more of an outlier, but you're going to have these wild swings in your success from year to year. Again, I just don't think you go from 8 to 13. But that's I also understand like it's not fair to expect
you definitely
go from 2
probably
to
don't
10.
go from 2 to 13.
Yeah, but you don't need to go to 13. You got to get to 11 though, man, or maybe 10.
You don't need to get to 11. You need to be respectable. You need to be, and I say that because again, I'm not cashing in 2025. It is a crazy sport. It's a crazy sport. They could be a playoff contender next year. Flipping SMU is going to the playoff, so probably Miami, if Clemson wins, is probably going to the playoff. So no. Sorry, if SMU wins, Miami is probably going to the playoff. So, and they were both, well, SMU was good last year. Miami was a losing team. So it could happen, but you've got to get back to respectability. You've got to get these coaches, because they don't have a ton of time, right? They have a month to put their whole depth chart together, and they're doing it on the fly. So that's not, it might not be the easiest thing to do to get a roster together that quickly. I know Signetti did it, and I'm not going to take anything away from my man. Done a great job, and they're a very good team, and they better be in the playoff. But, he didn't have to play the schedule that Florida State had to play, man. He didn't. They wouldn't be 11-1 against Florida State's schedule, in my opinion. Either way, they won't get to play the bottom 8 teams of the Big Ten next year. Florida State won't play the bottom 8 teams of the ACC. But if you get to 7 or 8 or 9, I don't care. If you have a winning record, if you're not an abject disaster, it bodes well for the next year. It bodes well for maybe you can develop a quarterback that people want to come play with. And you start getting big-time high school recruits again. Because I feel like they'll get some guys, I guess. But that ship has sailed. This year is going to be the portal with these two coaches, these two coordinators. But you can make some inroads, man, with a nice season. Like if Florida State goes, if they had 8 wins this year, Aslan, 7. They had 7-5. Don't you feel like they keep a good percentage of their class that just jumped off the train?
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. 2-10's ugly. You don't want to ride that train, but that's what I'm saying. If you can just have a 7-5 season where it doesn't look like, oh God, what am I joining? Am I joining the worst team in the country? I'm not doing that. I'm C.J. Wiley. I'm not gonna. I could go anywhere in the. Why would I go play for a 2-10 team? Well, if you're 7-5, 8-4. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, I see the improvement. That's a good quarterback I want to go play with, and you build on. Or that's a coach that look at what that offense did. Look at the improvement they made from one year to the next. How good are they going to be next year? And you sell that. So, yeah, I think it'd be great if they got to 10 wins, but respectability, and then just see where it goes from there. And they have to be respectable, or they're going to have to spend gobs of money to fire everyone. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to do that. And that's what I wrote in my column. Is like, clearly, if they didn't have this buyout, they would have had to pay Norvell. They would have fired Norvell. If it was like if it was a Gus Malzahn buyout, Norvell would have been fired. Maybe they would have hired one of these guys as their actual head coach. But they couldn't do that. So they are throwing a ton of money, and they are throwing a ton of money at these assistants. They are spending a lot of money on these assistant coaches, giving them probably 3 years deals, but it's still a lot cheaper than $65 million. Which, as we both know, $65 million is really $80 million or $100 million, because then you have to go hire the next head coach. No. So he can't fail. It's too important for him to fail, and they're giving him some serious resources to try to make Florida State a playoff contender again very quickly, immediately, as our man said.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. It's just crazy to me that he makes $10 million a year, and like he's getting all this support behind it as well. And
it's Dabo.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. We didn't
Dabo
think
got
he
a couple
was
rings,
Dabo.
though. He got a couple trophies.
But hey, man, he could have gotten you a trophy. He could have gotten you a trophy
Maybe.
if he was allowed in.
Right.
It looks like the Fisk and Verse kid can play a little bit. By the way, did you see his almost touchdown? Fisk that's crazy.
Man.
I guess it didn't count because he was down when he picked it up. Yeah. But man, what a return! That was going to be like a 60-yard fumble return from a defensive tackle, like cutting back against the grain. But he produced a 19-game winning streak. And he did it with, maybe not the best coaching staff Florida State can have. I think they're going to give him – there's no excuses now, right? Like, there's no excuses. I think – and I also think people like Malzahn and White will bring in their own coaches, obviously, but I also think they'll bring in what's almost as important, not quite, is their own eye for talent and what they want. They're going to have it. There's no way Malzahn will have an offensive line like this last year. It just can't happen. He can't. He knows what he's looking for. He knows what he wants his offensive lineman to do, and there will be a marriage within scheme and personnel. And there just obviously wasn't this year because you had the worst offense in the country. I think Malzahn will immediately make that better. And if Florida State just had a good offense, average offense this year, Aslan, they're going to a bowl. And I think he at least gets you to an average offense. This guy might be the next great defensive coordinator. I don't know. But I think he's probably better than what you had. He's proven it, I think, over the last couple of years without the Jared Verses and the Braden Fisks and the Renardo Greens. Nebraska has some players. I'm not saying they're void of talent, but they don't have, I think, first-round talent on that defense. I could be wrong. I guess I'm not a draft Nick. But he's done some really good things with some pretty good players, not great players. And, you know, if he starts getting great players in here, this defense might be unbelievable. I'm excited. I just want to be excited. Quit trying to throw wet blankets all over me.
One more.
Okay.
December
Another
18th,
wet blanket?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Dateline, December 18th, 2019, Alabama.com. Gus Malzahn stood at the podium inside the auditorium of the Auburn Athletic Complex 10 months ago and sent a clear message. Auburn needed reinforcements along the offensive line. After years of recruiting misses and limited signees at that position, Auburn was going to make the offensive line a priority in the 2020 class. So, yeah.
What? Say that again? Oh, so they weren't doing well.
Yeah. After years of recruiting misses and limited signees at that particular position. So that's all.
But how did they do during those years?
Yeah, he had a top 30 scoring offense 4 out of the 8 years he was the head coach on the Plains.
And they won in 2018. I don't know if their offense was any good, but they won
17.
Okay, and then 18 they won. You said that was 19 that you said that Dateline was.
Correct, yeah.
So after years and years, you said they had a really good year in 17, and then the next year they won 8 games. So their offense had to be at least decent, and that story is about all the misses they've had.
Yeah.
Buddy, it is a strikeout fest here in Tallahassee, Gus. If those were the misses you're used to, buddy, you're not going to believe this. Those were foul balls. Those were doubles off the wall compared to the misses that have been in Tallahassee here the last 5 years, apparently.
I just don't think we're all going to be that excited if they finish 8-4. We could say that right now. Like, I get it. Like, you quadrupled your win total. I'm not good at math. I know that. But I just still think, like, 4 losses here, you're still going to be down on some things, and there's going to be some trends that you see that you don't like. But I guess, again, you're going to hope that those guys stick around because there's no reason to think they're going to leave, those coordinators. And then you go into the portal maybe and you grab a couple more pieces. Hopefully you get some multi-year guys that are part of the reason that you won 8 games, and then that puts you on something for 26. I don't necessarily think that's the way it works, but I understand that that's a reasonable kind of expectation. I want to talk about the portal.
And I did want to address that real quick. I'm sorry. Yes, nobody's going to be excited about a 4-loss season. Nobody's going to be excited. You'll be, I think, maybe optimistic, though. Would that be a word you could use instead of excited? Like, I think people would be optimistic if this team 1 year after having the worst team in 50 years here, legitimately, that's crazy, the worst team at Florida State in 50 years went 8-4. I think that would be optimism. Like, okay, it's not a train wreck. These coaches did help. They do matter. And let's see what they do now that they have a year, a whole year under their belt. That's what I think. It would be optimistic, not excited, because it's Florida State, man. You don't get excited about 4-loss seasons here. This ain't Florida. We're not doing cartwheels because we had a 5-loss season and our coach saved his job. That's not what this is about. Exactly. Nobody's going to be excited about an 8-4 season unless they're 4-4 and they rip off Florida in the year. They beat Florida in Florida, and whoever the quarterback is young and looks awesome. Then there'll be some real excitement and hope, I think.
All right, so junior college offensive lineman Tylen Coleman, he's from the state of Mississippi. He was committed to Ole Miss. He still might be committed to Ole Miss, but had Florida State. Well, no, he's not, because he's got Mississippi State in his top 3, along with Illinois and Florida State. I think there was maybe some rumblings of good news, but he went ahead and tweeted on Monday night that he's decided to hold off on his post till further notice due to circumstances. Sorry for the delay, everyone. God bless. So maybe he's doing some Tony White research.
So he's a defensive tackle, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's
6'4",
his nickname.
285.
Is he the kid that's nicknamed Havoc?
Correct.
It's a great nickname, man.
It is.
I don't know if he can play it all, but I like my guys to have nicknames like that. I don't want a nickname like Babyface.
No.
I want Assassin. I want like Havoc is
Scarface.
incredible. Yeah, that is an incredible nickname. So just for that alone, I hope he comes to Florida State.
And hopefully somebody gave it to him. Hopefully it's not self-appointed.
Like the Black Mamba.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Kobe.
Yeah, I love Kobe.
But you can't give yourself your own nickname.
That's right.
You just can't do it.
Kevin Concepcion, the receiver from NC State, apparently according to our Pete Nakos of the On3 Network, Colorado, Alabama, Auburn, Penn State, Kansas State are the teams he's expected to kick the tires on. And again, and I'm not panicking anything. Just let's set our expectations. I think, again, when you have Gus, if he brings Herb Hand or whoever's offensive line coaches, get some offensive linemen, grown men. I think they offered a guy from Western Carolina not too long ago. So guys that have played football, that have produced well, and get you a good running back and get you a quarterback. That's, I don't know, maybe Trevor Jackson. Who knows? Maybe we need to get Trevor Jackson on the show. He should be the most happy person probably in the entire program of the Gus Malzahn hire. Because if he's as shifty and dynamic as we kind of saw him against the scout team, he might be a guy that Gus is like, good enough. Yeah, his arm, whatever, good enough. I don't care. I see what he can do when he runs around, good enough. And listen, man, Luke and Brock are athletic in their own right. And again, we've seen more out of them than even Trevor, so I shouldn't assume that Trevor is more athletic than them. But I
think Trevor is a tick more athletic.
Yeah.
Just on what I saw in the scout team and some of the run. Well, even when he was when he was running with the twos during the season at some point, you could see a little extra burst maybe that those two don't have. But you're right. He could be an option. But that's, yes, you're going to want receivers. It would be awesome if Concepcion came here. Great, sure. You've got to get quarterback right. You've got to figure out who your quarterback is going to be. And I'm not going to say they need a 5-star first-round pick quarterback.
No, they don't.
They need a perfect quarterback for this system.
They need Kevin Jennings, that kind of guy.
A Plumlee.
Yeah.
Somebody like that. You probably want somebody that could throw it a little better. But
he's a baseball player. He's got a hose.
Well, no, but he wasn't all that accurate with it. It's not like he's, is he even in the NFL?
Oh, so Corey wants someone who's wildly athletic, elusive, and has a strong, accurate arm. That's all.
No, well, I'm saying like he wasn't that accurate, but it didn't matter. They were still good.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. So I think a Plumlee-like guy would be perfect. Those are the guys you can count on to get you a lot of tough yards and win you games, quite frankly. He didn't have them last year, I don't think. He had him the first 2 years. Maybe he had him last year. I know he had him the first year or two.
He did, yeah.
And they were really good. And then, the Jefferson kid, the transfer that came from Arkansas, just wasn't nearly as athletic as Plumlee. And they failed because of it. So I think that's obviously by far the most important decision. Whether it's a guy on the roster or not, there are going to be some legitimate, serious candidates to be the Florida State quarterback in the portal in the coming days. I know the Liberty quarterback is in the portal. I think he's pretty good, I think. There will be other guys. I think there was a former 5-star QB that's in the portal. Don't know if he's athletic or not. But, yes, they're going to be – it could be Trevor Jackson, could be Brock, could be Luke, who knows. They've got to get that right. They've got to get that right, or there's a ceiling to how good this offense can be.
Plumlee was there last year. Plumlee at UCF, 63% completion percentage in 22, 62.9% complete percentage in 2023. About 2-to-1, roughly 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio.
Yeah.
So that'll hunt. And then he had 1,300 rushing yards in the 2 years and 16 touchdowns. So that is a good sort of recipe. Interesting, too, when you think about it. I mean, we can maybe dive into this on tomorrow's show. We don't need to keep going that much longer today, but just curious. It seemed like Mike wanted more of a kind of drop back pro style offense passer. And, with Gus, that's not a necessity at all. So that's another interesting part of this whole dynamic where, Mike's letting go, which takes a lot to do. Takes a lot to put your hands off something, which he'll be involved in it. But, Gus is going to pick a lot of these groceries. He's going to cook them and he's going to put them on the plate for all of us on Saturday night. So, looking forward to it greatly.
And I wonder if they'll bring in their own kind of GM-type people, player personnel type people. If either one of these guys will bring in their own to be like, nope, we've got to hit the ground running in the portal, and I want my own eyes that I trust guys in my life and my circle that I trust to get this right, I want them breaking down the film and giving me options. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the support staff that they're going to probably have a say in some of that too. You don't spend the kind of money that Florida State's spending on these two men and not give them the resources they need to try to be successful.
Nebraska's got a linebacker that just entered the portal.
I saw that as their leading tackler, I think, right?
He's a junior. Yeah, he's from Livingston, New Jersey, though, so maybe he wants to go to Rutgers. But Mackay, let me get back to my tab here. I'm all over the place. I got a whole bunch of stuff cooking here.
Yeah, buddy.
Mackay Bayor, 73 tackles, 1.5 sacks in his career, but he's played a lot of football for Nebraska. He's had a 73.5 grade according to PFF this year, and yeah, he started in all but one game. He didn't start the Northern Iowa game, so whatever. But 70.8 grade on tackling. You start off at a 60, so anything above 60 is always a good thing. And yeah, he's a junior, Corey, but he redshirted in 21. He didn't play at all in 22 either. So he technically is a junior, but he's put his name in the portal, so it sounds like he probably wants to still play some college football and add to his stock.
And this year he has 49 tackles. Yeah. Looks like 3 passes defended, 2 fumble recoveries. So, yeah, he played he's their 4th leading tackler, I guess, their 2nd leading tackler out of the linebacker position. So, yeah, I mean, he's probably pretty good, I guess, if he's starting on that team.
And also, you want to talk about family and fit. By the way, he's 6'2", 230.
Right.
3-time Nebraska Scholar athlete, academic All-Big Ten, Brooke Behringer citizenship team all 3 years.
Okay.
Or last 3 years. Tom Osborne citizenship team last 3 years as well. That sounds like a Mike Norvell kind of guy, if I've ever heard one. And I don't even know who this guy is, but shout out to Jamar Curtis from Lafayette, 5'8", 164. Smallish, but he was one of the FCS leading rushers. He's in the portal, so maybe he wants to run behind some big dudes. You can come and get some.
Also, C.J. Campbell is back in the portal.
What do you think about that?
And apparently FSU offered him.
Okay, I'd welcome him back.
Is what he said on Twitter. Yeah, man, he was, if you guys don't remember, he was on the team the previous 3. I think he was on the team in 23, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and he was a walk-on, but a very talented walk-on. He bet on himself. He went to FIU. AU, and was their starting running back there and had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. I think led them in touchdowns. Had a really good year, really nice year. Improved, and then has now got a real scholarship offer to come back to Florida State. So we'll see how that. And I think he announced it last night, or sorry, Sunday night. So I imagine that might have been Malzahn given that offer. Yeah. So yeah, somebody that might be, he knows the system ish. So maybe he'll be back here.
That's crazy. So he's tweeted out offers from USF, Toledo, Jacksonville State, Liberty, and then Florida State. So I don't know if that's Malzahn or maybe that's Mike. Just I want good dudes back here. I not that we ran you off for Roydell Williams, and Roydell Williams is a bad kid. I don't know who Roydell Williams is at all as a human being, but that might just be a Mike thing of let's just get some good I don't know if foundational is the right word, but just good guys that can produce and I can trust.
Locker room guys.
Yeah. And I don't know, the sicko in me, I'm ready to see some guys leave, Corey. Ready to see some guys leave.
Deuce Spann is out there, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
we knew that was coming because he's been on the scout team the last month. He'd hit his limit of games played, so it was pretty obvious they had told him they'd redshirt him. Yeah, I think that will start probably today, right? Florida had a couple enter. Georgia's in the SEC championship game, and they had a starting cornerback leap into the portal. Everybody's had guys enter the portal, but not Florida State. It's going to be a mass exodus whenever that happens. Maybe it's and it makes sense though. Wait till the coaching hires are officially announced and they're entrenched, and then go from there. Some of them might be waiting around to see for sure officially who the coaches are and talk to those coaches to see if they have a plan for them. Yeah. But yes, I expect dozens or a dozen. I mean, it could be upward of, it could be 15 at least, right, that leave.
I just remember, and I think it's just stealing from Ira. I mean, I think Ira might have mentioned in the wrap after the game Saturday. We had that moment. We had that 1 week where it's that last week before camp kind of opens up and there's not a lot going on, but we're excited and we're all right, how are they going to get down to 85, right? It's always like, how are they going to get down to 85? They got to get down to 85. They're over 85 right now. It's like, all right, well, they're going to start cutting some guys. Like we're like, oh, will it be 3 to 5? Will it be 7 to 10? Oh, it sounds like it's going to be closer to 7 to 10. And it was virtually 0, I think.
Yeah.
But there's just no way. I mean, this is different. I mean, this is just, you can't stand pat with all these guys.
No, some will be told to take it down the road. Some will decide on their own. But yes, they're going to have. Last year, I think it was 12 to 15 that left. We do this every week, and I can never remember the numbers. But it'll be probably, I would think, close to that or more. Because again, you're now going to be coached by 2 guys that did not recruit you at all and don't care about you at all. Like they're not mean,
right?
But it's not like they were in your family's living room back in 2022 and promised you some stuff about how they're going to make you work hard and turn you into a man. Like they just got here. So if they don't think you can play, they'll tell you, and they'll ask you they'll tell you maybe it's time to hit the road. That's just the reality of it when a whole new coaching staff comes in. And as we mentioned, you got to stay connected to Warchant, Aslan, because they're not done. They still have to hire an O-line coach, a receivers coach, probably maybe a D-line coach. I know there was some rumors about that on Monday. So the guy at Nebraska coming with. So yeah, man, there's still we literally have no idea how many position coaches they're going to hire.
No,
could be 4, could be 2, could be 8.
Well,
I legitimately have no idea.
And I think Tony White is mainly a secondaries coach, or he had been. Like that was his thing before he ran an entire defense. I think he mostly helped out with cornerbacks and secondary. So I wonder what that means possibly for Patrick Surtain, because that Southern Miss job went to Charles Huff, who was at Marshall, which that's just bizarre.
It's a weird thing.
Very, very strange. He was on the last year of his deal. It was just like, or might have 1 year left on his deal, he's either on his last year of the deal or he had 1 remaining and had a really decent season at Marshall and decided to parlay that into staying in the Sun Belt and coaching at Southern Miss. So I don't know if Surtain wants to go be a position coach at his alma mater that badly. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how these hires shake out, because they've got some gaps probably to fill, because I don't think these guys are just going to show up. These guys being Gus and Tony and be like, all right, yeah, I like the way everything looks here. We're good.
No, I think obviously they're going to bring some of their own guys with them. Both of them. They're both established enough that it's not like Norvell is going to be handpicking who his position coaches are for these 2 guys. No. Part of them coming to take the job, along with the money, is getting to pick probably who they want to be coaching with them, and they have some ideas. And so, yeah, I think there's probably guys coming with them. They just have to cross the I's and dot the T's to completely mess that saying up. But that's got to be coming in the next day or 2 as well. And don't forget, everyone, tomorrow is National Signing Day.
It is.
So get excited.
Yeah. All right. And keep our fingers crossed for our guys, Fitzy and Mastro. That'd be awesome if they won, right? Bring some hardware.
When is that?
I don't know. Probably not for like another week.
That's not coming down to. I thought you were saying it like it was tomorrow or today that they. No, that's probably in a couple.
I think you might be able to vote. Can't you vote? Isn't there fan vote? Goes towards one
Maybe,
vote?
Yeah, go do it. Go look it up. Lou Groza and Ray Guy, the awards, go look them up and vote for your guys. I can't imagine Mastromanno doesn't win it. Like, he's averaging 49.3 maybe or something? 49.7? Is that right? He's the only person that's averaging more than 48 yards in the whole country. There's 3 guys that average. There's 3 that average more than 47. And there's none – like his average is like 1.5 yards more than number 2. How in the world would he not win it? Plus, I mean, he punted all the time. It's not like it was a small sample size. My man punted 50-something. He punted 5 or 6 times a game. So, yeah, I can't imagine he doesn't win that award. And would he be the first – has Florida State ever won that award?
The Ray Guy? No, not that I know.
I don't think Sean Powell won it, right? Case and Beatty, I don't think, won it.
I think it hasn't been around that long either. Did you know? He just won MVP of the bowl game.
He won MVP of the bowl game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be cool if it'd be to only make 13 field goals and win the Groza would be pretty remarkable. But then he's also the only kicker that's made that many kicks that was perfect. Yeah. And it's not his fault. His team could never cross the 50. But it was great for Mastromanno. He got to boom them. He got to boom kicks because they would get 1 first down and then punt. Anyway, sorry, I'm done.
Yeah, so am I. Jeff Cameron not though. Well, actually, Seminole headlines.
Headlines, buddy, yeah.
Seminole headlines. We'll do a show as well, probably, maybe. We got to do the drawing. Of course we got to do a show. We got to do the drawing, everybody. Stay connected to warchant.com. Hires, portal, recruiting, everything. It's all waiting for you.
Oh, and also I did shave my goatee. So
What?
if you tune in and watch headlines, you're going to see a baby face. Talk about baby face. You're going to see a baby face baldy.
Accidental
I looked like a baby.
or purpose?
No. I wanted to do it mainly because it was getting unruly. It was time to reset. Also kind of wanted to see my face and what it looked like now that I've lost this weight, because I've never really seen my face when I've been in good shape since I was probably, I don't know, in high school. And I saw it, and I now definitely want the goatee back. My face, my head needs some hair somewhere. That's all I'm saying. Like, I think if I had hair on my head, Aslan, I like my face.
Okay.
But without hair on my head, the face isn't cutting it. So I've got to grow some hair back.
Gotcha.
Anyway, we're done.
All right. He's Corey Masson. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy.